Hi, guys. Welcome to Spiritually Rich, a podcast dedicated to helping you call in more abundance in every area of your life. And in our last episode, I had the honor of having my husband here, Jeff, talking about love and how to call in your dream person. And most importantly, how to call in a healthy, thriving relationship. So I think that what we want to discuss is really how to build an incredible relationship and call in a healthy partnership in your life. Anyone can date, you can date and call in all sorts of people. So what we want to help to guide you to do is to call in your highest, healthiest relationship with the most incredible partner. So on this episode, super juicy, we're going to be talking about why we waited until marriage to have sex. So we waited, it was about 2 years since we met until we got married, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So it was about 2 years that we waited. And I'd like you, honey, to describe, why that was important for you. And then I can share how amazing the experience was for me. And then we'll share how it's helped us to build such a deeper, more meaningful relationship.
Yeah, for sure. The biggest thing for me was through my experiences before, living the other way around. It led me to a very, very dark, unhappy place. And so I knew something had to change in my life. Something had to drastically change to change the trajectory of my life. And that's what it came down to. It was I had to stop sharing my energy with random girls, random women who I had no idea what they're doing, what their values, what their morals are, who else they're sleeping with, hanging out with. So I was bringing on their negativity, whatever it was that they had going on in themselves. I was sharing in that in the most intimate way two humans can share that. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I decided to go celibate for that at that time. And it was a decision I made. And I was like, I'm waiting till marriage. I'm waiting till the one. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't, always super smooth, but it was something that I stayed true to. And, luckily I found the one after 6 years, and, you could have came a little quicker, but, made me hold out and wait for a while. And then, the whole decision of us and you respecting that and honoring that when we talked about it from night one that I met her, we, had that conversation, and I opened up to her and I told her, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. So if you're looking for something quick in this, I'm not the one, Mm-hmm. And, so for you to have a woman who, again, like me, had previously, had sex and been with people, we had that connection. We could feel it. It was there.
Chemistry. He's talking about the sexual chemistry.
It was, there was times where it was hard. It was challenging when we're together, not to do that, but we knew it'd be something special. And, you can kind of speak a little more.
Yeah. I definitely want to share my experience with it because it was so incredible. But really quickly, what was important to you about us waiting in terms of the relationship that you wanted to build with me?
I wanted to build something that had some depth and some a strong foundation. I wanted a relationship. I was looking for a woman to build a life with that was based on something deeper than sex. I see it so many times nowadays where a guy and a girl get together, they have incredible sex the first night. They're all excited. They're like, dude, that was the best sex I ever had. I can't wait. Yeah. And a week later, they're dating. and they're like, we're so in love. It's so great. Like our sex is so good. Like we have this connection, and it's just like, I don't want to ever prey on their downfall, but it's like, no, that's not connection you're feeling, like that. It's not that deep. It's very shallow. And as life happens and people get older, I have some friends that are older that, he's like, yeah, I realize I look across the dinner table and I don't even love my wife. I just realized I was with her all these years because I was so attracted to her and I loved our sex. And then now as they're older and that kind of diminishes, everything starts dropping a little bit. Well, now he's not as attracted to her and he never really liked her. It's like, now you just spent 20 years with a woman that there was nothing there. And so I always talk to men about that and help them understand that, us as men, especially because we're usually the ones driving that, and initiating that, that it goes much deeper than that. And there's a foundation that when things break down or there are troubles in life, or we have a breakdown in communication and here and there, that we're able to sit down and communicate it because we're best friends first. And like, we have that foundation that is going nowhere. Like at the end of the day, like we're homies, we're best friends. And then that is just takes it over the edge, and the sex is just the cherry on top, I guess, so to speak. So yeah, it was that was the biggest thing for me and why I wanted to wait, and, to have those 2 years to really bond and hang out and get to know each other, before we added that into the equation. By that point, it was like, we're solid, know? And then it was like, and it was just fun. You felt like a little kid again. You're like your first time, and you're like, you get to wedding night and you're like, oh my gosh, we get to do it. And, you feel like it was your first time again, so it's kind of fun,
It did. That was fun.
So yeah, it just felt special, and it was just something that, I really wanted to do, and I was doing it. And then I was just so thankful that you were on board, and you never once pressured me or tried to talk me out of my ways. You respected it, and you,
I really honored it, actually, when you told me that night, and I shared that in the last episode. Just to meet a young man who had already had sex, who we clearly had like massive chemistry and like a very deep connection, like you could feel it. And we're both sexual, very sexual. So to meet a man that had already experienced all that and had made a choice that you were going to protect your energy, I found so attractive. And that's why it was so easy for me to honor that. And I loved the idea of building our relationship off of something so much more meaningful and deep. And for anyone who's listening, I hope that that's what you take from this, is that if you really want that deeper level relationship where you're with somebody who is your lifer person, that has your back, not skipping steps, and doing the work on yourself first, and then building the strong foundation, and then having the most incredible sex for the rest of your life.
I guess with peer pressure and everything in this world is that not trying to use sex to fill a void. And I see a lot of couples doing that, and it makes them feel like they have value and self-worth in this world if someone else is willing to sleep with them. I've had women that deal with self-worth, and whatever that they struggle with, and so then they go looking for one night stands and this, and it's like, oh, well, if this guy wants to sleep, it validates them, and it feels like, oh, I'm pretty now, or this. And there was a lot of nights in those 6 years where it was like, yes, I would love to be having sex right now, like I met a girl and whatever, but I would go home alone that night, and it was like lonely, and, you know, especially coming from that old lifestyle, but it was something that I knew down the road would have massive reward and stuff. And so it's just not buying into that temptation and that trying to fill that void. If you're lonely, like, wait for it. It'll be worth it when you find the one that truly loves you, and because you don't want to share that with someone who doesn't really appreciate you anyways, you know, because then you end up waking up the next day. You know, I have friends in the NBA that party, do all this, win championships, and they wake up the next day after the massive celebration, and they're like, I feel like how you felt in that hotel room that night when you were just empty and depleted.
Yeah.
And I could have had any girl in the world that night. And it's like, there is no woman or man in the world that is going to fill that void if it's built on sex.
Yes, sex alone. It's so true. I remember my girlfriends, everyone was like, what? You're waiting? You guys are waiting till you're married to have sex? Like, what do you do? How do you do that? How do you do that? And like, of course, we did other things. And, you know, there's other ways to, you know, meet your needs. But for me, and I think for us, knowing that you have such a high level of respect for yourself and for each other and for the relationship that you're building, that is so much more powerful than the temptation to have sex. Yeah. It's like, you can't even compare it in my eyes. That I think that's what kept us going. Like, this is so much bigger than sex. Yeah. And the communication you have with your partner is everything. So like, if I hadn't told you that right away out the gate, right, and we started fooling around or doing whatever, and then, you know, it came to that time and I was like, oh no, or I ended up doing it, and you didn't know this internal fight I'm having with like, I wanted to wait, but now I'm not. And yes, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I never wanted to be that person. That was another thing. Like, screwed. Right. Took me off track. Yeah. I was like, absolutely not. Like, you made this commitment to God. You made this commitment to yourself. Like, I'm not going to be the one to derail you. Yeah. So, but then I didn't want you to also, you know, we get in there and I pull, you know, I'm like, actually no. And then you're in your head, like, is it me? Am I, you know, and you're shaming yourself. Am I not cute enough? What is it? You know, but I don't know. Some people say I'm too open, but I just, first night, I'm like, this is me. Yeah. Like, take it or leave it. You know, we're both that way. I know. And that's where it works. And that's why it was easy, because it's like, okay, I know exactly where he stands. I know exactly where you stand on things. There's no like, I don't know, like, let me figure out what's in her head. Like, I know, because you've told me in these scenarios how you feel and what you believe. And that's huge. I mean, everything is built on that communication and that foundation with relationships. And that could be another 4 episodes of this going into that. Yeah, I agree. But, that is, communication is part of it, because from the first day we met, you know, I told you, this is my standards. We were talking about our dream partners, that they weren't each other. They were opposite. They were totally different, but little did we know, like, by the way, though, he did check every box on my list. I just always thought that if I was going to get remarried, that I would marry somebody older. I had already had a child. I'd been through a really crazy divorce, and that he wouldn't be white. I've never been with anyone white. My exes were all whatever. The morals, the character you had, and I know for me too. For me with you, it was a looks thing. You had always thought you were gonna marry like a volleyball player. Like, you were in volleyball. You were. Player. Yeah. No, same thing. I had never dated a white chick, and but it was funny, because when I met you,
didn't think you were white. I was like, is she Lebanese or something?
Funny.
I was
Everyone
like,
always says that.
and so maybe that was your trick to
reel you in.
But no, it was kind of cool because the way it started was so organic and just chill, and things were laid out early on, and so by waiting, it was just so healthy for both of us.
Yeah. I think too, something that I always suggest to my clients that are single and wanting to call in their person is when they're dating, seeing if the person that they're talking to has done any work on themselves, right? Have they healed at all? Because 99.9% of people need some sort of healing or need to do some sort of inner work, call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But we all need to work on ourselves. And unfortunately, not a lot of people choose to do that. And so to weed out people that are going to be codependent and be getting together with you based off of wounding, ask them, and see where they're at. Have they been on any sort of journey of self-discovery so that you can, if you're doing the work yourself, you can make sure that you're dating people, again, that are meeting you at that higher standard.
Yeah. What are some questions from the women's standpoint that you would, I know for me, like as a man, if I'm asking a female those questions, to see if she's done that work, it might be just asking them like, wait, what are your morals? What are your beliefs?
What's important to you?
Like asking those questions, like you said, those leading questions that gets in their head. If they're like, I don't know, I've never thought of that. Or, you know what I mean? Like for me, it was like, I need a woman of this and this and this. And, I need a woman that respects me. I'm not, having sex until marriage. I'm not, I don't go out and party every weekend. I'm a family's like comes before everything with me, like having them voice that. And if they're having trouble, stating those, then like you said, that might be a red flag for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that pretty quickly after having a couple conversations with somebody where they're at in their life and their journey, and if they're doing any work on themselves. So for the women listening, I would just encourage you to start to look for men who are also working on themselves, who are reading, who are doing something to go deeper within themselves. That's going to weed out a lot of the riffraff and a lot of those lower quality people who are just looking to bang and to have one night stands and that don't have any, high morals or emotional intelligence or anything that most of the women listening
And
are.
as you dive deeper in yourself and get stronger and more confident in that, you won't want to spend time with anyone on a lower vibration. So you'll naturally just like start being appalled to that energy.
Yep.
And that's where when I started changing, I would go out to bars or whatever just to hang out because, we were doing it. It was fine. And like, a girl would come to me or whatever. And a guy's like, oh, she's so hot. Like, you going to chill with her tonight? And I'm just like, oh, like, no. Like, yeah, she looks good, but she just doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? And you start getting appalled by that energy. And so that's a big one for men and women is when you really start doing that, you will. Naturally, and that's the process of calling in because you're getting rid of those ones and then you're making room for the right ones to get in there.
I always talk about that, creating space.
Because if you see that one and you don't reject it, then you spend your time and energy there and you forget that over here, there's something bigger and better.
100%.
And that's where my whole thing shifted when I stopped with that lifestyle.
Yeah. So powerful.
So yeah, that's huge. That's a big one. And surround yourself with like-minded people. In the locker room, I'd speak on this, and guys, the locker room is a very vulgar place, and guys would ask me, did you sleep with her last night? She was so, same whole thing. And it's like, no, like I wasn't, whatever, wasn't attracted to her for this and that. And, the next time around, next week, they're asking this guy who's always sleeping with girls, like, yo, did you hook up with that chick last night at the bar? And he's like, no, I'm on my Jeff grind. Like, no. And I was like, it's contagious. Like, and you start, now he's, because I was open and communicative about it, now he had the confidence to go do it. And then we started hanging out together. So when we would go out, it wasn't like, hey, we're looking for sex. We're just looking to go out and have a drink and have a good time, have some laughs, mess around, have conversation. And then we go home and we chill and we get ready for our game and practice or whatever it is, So your tribe and all that is obviously really, really important. And
it's everything.
Having those healthy conversations and creating that space to.
Yes, your environment is everything. Yeah.
The right ones.
I love that. It's so powerful. I love you so much.
I love you too.
We're so in love.
Thanks for bringing me on.
Thanks for being here with me.
Introducing me to your amazing world and friends. Tribe.
We're so excited. I'm so excited about this podcast. God put this in my heart almost a year ago today, during that eclipse in April. And here we are. And I'm just excited for it to be everything it's supposed to be, and honored to do life with you. I can't wait for our date night tonight.
Let's get it.
And some really good
Sorry, people.
sex.
We got to go.